Imagine this. You sit on your couch with a bowl of popcorn. You open a new episode of your favorite show on Netflix, and it feels like simple entertainment, right? But while you are watching, a war is unfolding behind the scenes. A real war, where the stakes are not measured in soldiers' lives, but in billions of dollars, hundreds of millions of subscribers, and the future of the entire entertainment industry. This is a war that never appears in the news. A war without gunfire, but with casualties. A war where Netflix is fighting not just for profit, but for survival itself. Today, we dive into the backstage of the most expensive battle in entertainment history. We will uncover the strategies companies hide from the public, and we will find out why a giant that once looked unstoppable is now standing on the edge of disaster. The birth of a revolution. To understand this war, we need to return to the beginning. 1997. Two entrepreneurs, Reed Hastings and Mark Randolph, create a company called Netflix. Their business model is simple: DVD rentals by mail. No late fees, unlike the universally hated Blockbuster. The legend says the idea came to Hastings after he paid a $40 late fee for returning the movie Apollo 13. Angry and frustrated, he thought, there must be a better way. By 2005, Netflix is shipping 1 million discs every single day. The company is thriving. But Hastings sees something no one else sees. He understands that DVDs are the past. The future belongs to the internet. At that time, the idea sounded insane. The internet was slow. Videos buffered every few seconds. But Hastings was convinced technology would improve, and Netflix needed to be ready. 2007 becomes a turning point. Netflix launches its streaming service. At first, it is only an addition to the DVD business. The library is tiny, the video quality mediocre. Critics are skeptical, but Hastings is playing the long game. He licenses content from studios for almost nothing. No one believes in streaming, so rights are sold cheaply. Netflix gets Mad Men, Breaking Bad, and hundreds of films for pocket change. Within 5 years, everything changes. The internet gets faster, smartphones enter every home, and suddenly, streaming turns from an experiment into the future. But that is not enough. Hastings understands Netflix depends on content it does not own. Studios can take their shows back at any moment or raise prices to the sky. Netflix needs its own content that belongs only to Netflix. And so, in 2013, Netflix makes a $100 million bet. The company produces House of Cards, the first fully original streaming series. 2 seasons at once, major actors and director David Fincher behind the camera. The industry is shocked. Network executives laugh. Who will watch TV shows on the internet? That's not real television. Hollywood shrugs. Netflix, the DVD by mail company. But the audience votes differently. House of Cards becomes a hit. Netflix gains 30 million subscribers in 2 years. The binge watch model changes content consumption forever. Netflix launches a conveyor belt of hits. Orange is the New Black, Narcos, Stranger Things, The Crown. Billions are spent, and every investment brings in more subscribers. The golden age and the illusion of invincibility. From 2015 to 2019, Netflix lives through a golden age. The company becomes a cultural phenomenon. Stranger Things explodes online. Memes, cosplay, millions of posts. The Crown wins Emmys and Golden Globes. Black Mirror becomes synonymous with high-quality sci-fi. The company's stock price rises 400%. Netflix becomes worth more than Disney. Analysts call it the future of global entertainment. Hastings speaks at conferences like a rock star. He says, "Our biggest competitor isn't HBO, it's sleep. We compete for every minute of people's free time." And the numbers confirm it. The average Netflix user watches 3.5 hours per day, more than any TV network in history. Cord cutting enters the dictionary. People abandon cable for streaming en masse. But behind the triumph, something dangerous begins to happen. Something Netflix prefers not to speak about. Industry giants wake up, and they are not happy. Imagine you are Disney. You have a century of content. Star Wars, Marvel, Pixar. You license it to Netflix for millions. Good money. But suddenly you realize Netflix is using your content to earn billions. They take your characters and grow their subscriber base, while you receive crumbs. Worse, Netflix uses the money you pay them to create competing content. You are funding your own rival. And so, in 2019, Disney declares war. Disney Plus launches with the entire Disney, Pixar, Marvel, Star Wars, and National Geographic library. $7 a month. Half the price of Netflix. The result is explosive. 10 million subscribers on day one. 50 million in 6 months. 100 million in a year and a half. Netflix needed a decade to reach these numbers. Disney does it in months. Then come the others. HBO Max, Paramount Plus, Peacock, Apple TV Plus. Every giant builds its own fortress. Suddenly Netflix is surrounded. Competitors everywhere, each with massive resources. Content begins to vanish from Netflix. The Office moves to Peacock. Friends goes to HBO Max. Marvel shows return to Disney. Sony, Universal, and Paramount pulled their titles as well. The library that once felt endless starts shrinking. What Netflix licensed cheaply for years now costs a fortune, or is simply unavailable. Netflix is left with one option: make more original content, much more, as fast as possible. The invisible war of budgets. Let's talk about money, about the insane amounts being spent in this war. In 2015, Netflix spends $5 billion on content. By 2018, $12 billion. 2020, $17 billion. 2022, almost $20 billion in a single year. To understand the scale, this is more than the annual budget of some countries. More than all Hollywood studios spent in the golden age of cinema. But here is the problem. Amazon spends $18 billion. Disney spends $33 billion across all platforms. Apple does not even reveal its spending. They simply ask, "How much do you need?" and sign a check. Amazon spends $1 billion, yes, $1 billion, on one season of The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, the most expensive show ever made. Disney floods the market with Marvel and Star Wars series, each costing $200 to $300 million per season. Apple hires Martin Scorsese, Steven Spielberg, and other legends, offering budgets Netflix can only dream of. Netflix finances this arms race with debt, tens of billions borrowed on the bond market. The plan is simple: spend now, win later. But what if the competitors never give up? Disney has theme parks, merchandise, and cruise lines. Amazon earns trillions from e-commerce and uses Prime Video as a bonus for delivery. Apple sells $1,000 iPhones and uses streaming as marketing. And Netflix? Netflix has only subscriptions. If people stop paying, the entire structure collapses. Then, in spring 2022, the unthinkable happens. Netflix loses 200,000 subscribers for the first time in 10 years. The growth engine stalls. The market panics. The stock price crashes 35% in one day. $50 billion in value evaporate. Analysts declare, is this the beginning of the end? What went wrong? Problem 1. The price. Netflix keeps raising subscription fees. $13 becomes $15, then $20 for the premium plan. Streaming, once cheaper than cable, now costs as much as cable. People start canceling. Problem 2. Canceled shows. Netflix kills series after 1 or 2 seasons, even popular ones. Fans lose trust. Why start a show if Netflix will end it on a cliffhanger? Problem 3. Password sharing. More than 100 million users watch Netflix for free through shared accounts. Netflix begins blocking shared access and demanding extra fees. Users explode with anger. Some pay. Many leave. But Netflix is not a company that surrenders without a fight. When your back is against the wall, the most desperate decisions become the only way forward. The company radically changes its strategy, and some of these decisions shock even the most loyal fans. The first step is advertising. For years, Netflix proudly declared that it would never include ads. Yet suddenly the platform launches a cheaper subscription tier with ads. This is a complete reversal. Reed Hastings once said, "Advertising will destroy the user experience. We will never go down that path." But in 2022, Netflix does exactly that. The ad-supported plan costs $6.99 per month, half the price of the regular plan. Ads appear before the content and between episodes, just like traditional television. The circle has closed. And surprisingly, it works. Millions of people choose the cheaper plan, especially in lower-income regions such as India, Brazil, and Mexico. Netflix begins earning billions from advertising, creating a new source of revenue that no longer depends solely on subscriptions. Even advertisers are thrilled. Netflix knows everything about its viewers, what they watch, when they watch, how long they watch. It is a goldmine for targeted advertising. The price of an ad on Netflix becomes higher than on traditional television. The second step is globalizing content. Netflix stops being an America-centered company. A South Korean series, Squid Game, becomes the most watched show in the history of Netflix, with more than 1,600,000,000 hours viewed in the first month. A Korean language show with subtitles breaks every record. Money Heist from Spain, Lupin from France, Turkish and Indian dramas, Japanese anime. Global content finds massive audiences. Netflix realizes that American content is no longer the king of entertainment. The world wants variety. The company begins investing billions into productions around the globe. It opens studios in South Korea, India, and Poland, hiring local creatives who understand their own audience. More than half of all Netflix viewership now comes from outside the United States. The platform has truly become global. The third step is moving beyond streaming. Netflix no longer wants to be just a place to watch videos. The company launches games. First simple mobile titles, then more ambitious projects. All games are included in the subscription with no extra fees and no ads. The gaming catalog is not a global hit yet. Only a few % of users download the games, but Netflix is persistent. The company sees a future where streaming is only one part of a larger entertainment ecosystem. Netflix begins selling merchandise for its most popular series. It opens themed restaurants and pop-up stores, such as a Stranger Things restaurant with an authentic 80s menu. It produces live comedy shows, sells tickets for theater screenings of premieres, and even explores the idea of opening entertainment parks. Netflix is no longer just a streaming platform. It is becoming a lifestyle brand, an entertainment universe that touches every part of your free time. The fourth step, and the most important one, is data. Netflix controls the most powerful viewer analytics system in the world. The platform knows everything: when you watch, what you watch, where you pause, what you rewind, what you abandon after 5 minutes, what you watch until the end. Billions of data points from hundreds of millions of users. This data determines which shows get produced. If Netflix sees that audiences love crime dramas with strong female leads in Spain, the company orders 3 more shows like that. If teenagers in Asia lean toward romantic comedies, 10 new projects get greenlit. Even the thumbnails you see are personalized. One viewer sees a romantic moment, another sees an action shot, all based on individual preferences. But there is a dangerous side to this approach. When algorithms make all the decisions, a problem arises. Algorithms optimize for engagement, not for quality. Netflix begins producing content based on formulas. Shows start to resemble each other. The same structures, the same plot twists, the same character archetypes, because the algorithm says these patterns work. Creators complain that Netflix suffocates artistic freedom. The company wants safe, predictable content that appeals to the broadest audience. Risky, experimental projects struggle to get approval. Classic series like Breaking Bad, The Sopranos, or Twin Peaks would never be approved by Netflix algorithms today. They are too strange, too slow, too risky. Yet those shows transformed television. Netflix releases hundreds of shows every year. But how many do you truly remember? How many become cultural phenomena? Only a few. The platform operates on a strategy of quantity. Make 100 shows. If 10 succeed, the rest do not matter. But viewers begin to feel overwhelmed. Too much choice, too little quality. And this leads to the biggest paradox. Netflix has thousands of titles, yet people spend 20 minutes scrolling, unable to choose anything. Because 90% of the catalog is forgettable content created by formula. Competitors take a different approach. HBO produces fewer shows, but each one is premium quality. Apple releases 1 series a month, but with world-class stars. Disney relies on proven franchises. Netflix plays the numbers. Competitors play the artistry. Who wins? Time will tell. Now we reach the final question. What comes next? We have gone through the entire journey. From a small DVD by mail company to a giant that transformed entertainment. From triumph to crisis. From monopoly to a brutal fight for survival. So who wins this silent war? The honest answer is no one. Because this is not a war where one winner takes everything. The market is splitting into segments. Disney dominates family content and superheroes. HBO produces prestige dramas and Warner blockbusters. Amazon buys everything from sports rights to MGM. Apple focuses on quality and creative freedom. Paramount leans on nostalgia and established franchises. And Netflix? Netflix still has 3 advantages. The first advantage is scale. More than 230 million subscribers worldwide. A presence in 190 countries. The second advantage is data. No competitor matches Netflix in understanding its viewers. A decade of behavioral analytics is an invaluable weapon. The third advantage is its brand. When people say streaming, they think Netflix. The brand itself has become a category, like Google for search or Uber for rides. But threats remain. Tens of billions of dollars in debt, competitors with almost unlimited budgets, audience fatigue from formulaic content, rising prices that push people away. What future awaits Netflix? Perhaps the company will shrink but become more profitable, focusing on quality over quantity. Or perhaps Netflix will double down on expansion and transform into a vast entertainment ecosystem. Maybe Netflix will acquire a major game studio and compete with Xbox and PlayStation. Maybe it will open its own theaters and challenge Hollywood distribution. Maybe it will merge with a giant like Apple, Amazon, or even Disney. Or perhaps, 10 years from now, Netflix will be just a story. The story of a company that changed everything, but failed to adapt fast enough. The silent war continues. Every new show is a shot fired. Every subscriber is a captured territory. Every decision is a question of survival. The question is not who wins. The question is what the entertainment industry will look like when the war ends. Will we have diversity of choice? Or will one or two giants control everything we watch? Will platforms compete for quality? Or will they fight for attention at any cost, flooding us with mediocre content? The answer depends on us, on the viewers. Because in the end, we vote with our subscriptions, our time, and our attention. Now it is your turn. Write in the comments which streaming service you use the most. Do you believe Netflix will survive this war? Or has its time passed? And the final question: who do you think will win the silent war for the future of entertainment? Leave a like if this video opened your eyes to what is happening behind the scenes of your favorite shows. Subscribe for more industry breakdowns. Turn on notifications. The next video will be even more shocking. And remember, every time you press play, you join the most expensive war in the history of entertainment. See you in the next video.